and I will not be visible for this because there's some problem with my camera, but that means I can let my guests here do most of the talking. And let's start with moderation, or temperance, as it's sometimes called. What does that mean to you? What do you think about when you hear this?
David, can I ask you a question about moderation and temperance? What is the common word just you use?
Moderation is much more
Moderation.
common, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Temperance, we use the word temper to, as usually about our mood or our behavior, especially to be in a bad temper or a good temper.
And is it true that temperance was used firstly for alcohol, just mostly just to restrain and not to drink a lot, and just temperance? Because I found some information about the root and the meaning of this word, and it was 19th century, and it was about alcohol. For,
Yes, that came later, the temperance movement. But temperance goes even further back into one of this to moderate, in the case of alcohol, to abstain or not to drink alcohol. But more
uh,
generally, we're talking about moderation, about balance.
Yes, and just talking about moderation, just in Russia also it's very, how to say, popular word, moderation. It was
Right.
russified, like moderatia, but it's a really English word, moderation, and so we used to it just for speaking for when the speaker, or like you, for example, your teacher, you are also a moderator. Just we use this word in this way. There is a
Yes.
person moderate the discussion and just try to balance, not to allow to the battle, to the hot battle, and so just it's a person who could try find this balance among all. Among all people that are involved in this discussion. So that way how we in Russia we use it, not like a balance, like just a general meaning that came from English, and also for business, for organization, something for meetings, and so at presentations. So there is a moderator and there are speakers. So there is a discussion.
Yes, a kind of the president of a debate or something, a
Yes, yes,
moderator.
in debate. Yes, yeah, that's right. That's how we use this
Yes,
mean
we
this
do have
word.
that. True, but we're using it today in the sense of not to avoid the extremes, as I mentioned in the email at the beginning, to finding balance and avoiding excess. So let's talk about this now, if we can. How do you find balance in your life? Is it important? Avoiding excess and extreme. Can I bring another speaker in?
Well, I'd like to quote my famous English teacher who said everything in moderation, which is including moderation.
Yes.
I think 2 weeks ago, and this is what I totally agree with, and what was my motto so far. That as long as the pendulum also swings to the other side, it's okay to sometimes overdo some things, but in total the balance should be all right. So
Yes, good one. I'll continue.
I think that or I try to take care to be moderate, but the writer, the author, you shared the article, gave a hint that normally we connect it with things like eating, drinking,
Mm.
these kind of things. And so far, this was in my mind. And from the article, I started to think about other things in our life, attitudes or statements also we should also take into account. So this everything in moderation, which is including moderation, I referred it to the previous notion of things.
Yes, right. I like it. It's a good thing to say now and again we can do something extreme. We can maybe, I don't know. I don't want to go on too much. Let me ask the others. What about you? Do you live by this motto? Everything in moderation, including moderation? Larissa? Or are you an extreme kind of person?
I don't know very much, but as for me, I think that I try to moderate myself, of course, but it's a very strange thing, and sometimes it's a very controversial question because, as for me, the middle ground for everyone is very different. And I'm not very addicted to alcohol things, for example. I'm not, and this is a bad for me, I am not good in sport addiction too. And I try to be moderate myself and my hard working. And what new for me was I began to appraise myself for well done job. And one day I met a sentence, good appraising examples by our very famous Russian poet, Alexander Pushkin. And one day when he finished a huge job, a big part of his poem, he exclaimed, what a Pushkin, not a Pushkin, what a Pushkin, what a son of a bitch. And he was very, very glad for his well-done job. And I began to moderate my job, to think not about my job, but also about my family, about my baby, about other things in my life. So this is my way of moderation, I think.
Okay, yeah, interesting. Thank you for that example.
Yes, and I would like to add to Larissa, of course, that mostly I use this word balance. I like this word, and it's more understandable for me in this way, just to find time for myself, for my job, for my family. Of course, for my job, because we connected, we have to earn money for our living. We cannot not avoid it, and so that's our life, and that's why it's really important to find a really wonderful and dream of the job of your dream, because we spent a lot of time in the office just working, and of course we spent a lot of time while we commute in the big city like Moscow. So I spent 4 hours a day, about 4 hours, and of course that's I have only 2 or 3 hours a day only for my family, for my private life. And so I would try to find, of course, try not to overwork. And of course, that's a frame. Yes, guys, I have working hours, and I try to work hard. I love my work, but anyway, just respect my private life, because I see my colleagues around me. They overwork. Sometimes every day they're working until 10 o'clock in the evening. They're sitting in the office, and I just ask, why? You're so young, so what is the purpose for working so many hours? And of course, sometimes it's without paying extra from the company. And so I think that it's very important just to find and to have this balance, to be healthy, happy, and feel good.
Yes, thank you, Natalia. Often people talk about this work-life balance, but maybe other people are working too much.
Yes.
But it can be a hard thing, and then, often we need to work hard. We need to make money and maybe to do well, to get on. But yes, where do you draw the line?
Maybe just in moderation, what I understand is meaning of the word that you have to moderate your actions. For example, you eat too much sweets, so you have to, or just drink coffee a lot. So maybe just you can moderate your actions, moderate yourself. Just stop drinking 8 cups of coffee, or just maybe drink only 2. And so just you try to restrain yourself. For example, you think that it's really harmful for you, or just it's not healthy, it's not good for other people when I talk too much. For example, I try, okay, stop, just listen to other people, don't just occupy all place with you. So just you try to moderate yourself. I think it's really difficult sometimes. Yeah.
Yes, I think it's interesting when we looked at the vices before, the 7 deadly sins. A lot of them were associated with not having this moderation. So with greed, when you eat too much, or gluttony, you don't know when to say stop, or when is enough. So let's move on talking about vice, or talking about sins and virtue. Do you consider it to be a virtue? I've noticed that actually the phrase that I said before, everything in moderation, including moderation, comes from Oscar Wilde, who I also quoted in the email. He also said, moderation is a fatal thing. But first of all, is it always a virtue, moderation? Why would he say such a thing?
Again, for me, it's difficult to say what to define what is a virtue.
Right.
But I think in the way the author of the article thought about moderation, it's more than, this is what made me think it's more than to take the middle road. It's more than to make compromise. It's to reflect what is the right way to go at the moment. What is the right decision? You have to, he says, you should take into account all arguments and weigh them up against the others, and then take the decision. And this might be one time the left road, one time the right one, and one time the middle road. But think about what you are going to do. And in this way, I think it's maybe a virtue, or it's a thing I would like to strive for. It's a good way of taking decisions, in my opinion.
Yes, thank you. That's a good point. So maybe it's doing the right thing here and reflecting on what is the right decision.
To be honest, I just have an opinion about virtue, and so just in English that we have this particular word virtue. In Russia, just talking about word forming, we have of course Russian word, but this word means to make something good for others. So just you are good and you try to deliver some good to others. That's like this word in Russia. If you just try to translate or try to explain the meaning of this word. So because it consists of the 2 parts, like kind in English, kind, that's in Russia dobro, and just like a suffix there is that who is doing it. And so just maybe that's about just doing something good to other people, maybe just like to restrain yourself just in order to provide something good for others. Just think about other people. Just maybe that's, they try to explain it in just in this in the language meaning. if it's possible.
Yes, it's a good point. Okay, well, let's maybe move away a little bit from the virtues then. The next question is, does moderation come naturally with age? Often we associate in our youth, we might do things, we might be more wild, less restricted. Younger people may have tendency to go more to extremes, and then perhaps we will soften with age. I don't know if it's always true, but I'd be interested to hear what you guys think.
It's very interesting because with age comes not only moderation but also dementia and Alzheimer's disease. And sometimes you hope for the best, but you should prepare to the worst. And of course, we want to be moderated, and I'm as a mother try to suggest my baby to avoid some very useful, not very useful, to avoid some bad actions in her behavior. But I know that this is my experience, and she should to receive her own priceless experience and to make her decision after that.
Yes, good point. Maybe I should have said, does moderation come with maturity? But yeah. Maybe when you get very old, you get less. You go back to being extreme again.
So maybe you are becoming more patient with just becoming a mom or a father. So just you are not only now just you think about others, you think about your babies, and so just yes, of course we change. I think that being a mom or a dad.
So maybe we become more sensible or more just concerned about others.
Yes, yeah, I think it's true.
In my perception, it varies from person to person. On the one hand, if we take it in the way I previously pointed on, the decision thing, elderly people have way more life experience than young ones, and so it might be easier to put arguments into the decision and decide in a wise way or in a moderate way. And on the other hand, I saw that people became more narrow-minded when they became older.
Right, yeah.
And this is contradicting this moderation, or might contradict. So I think it's not to answer in general.
Yes. Any more thoughts here?
So when we are young, we are full of spice and energy, and we do our actions not thinking about the consequences of the situation. But if we became elder, of course, we become more mature, and we try to think about consequences. And I remember an example. One day, our famous Russian chess player Garry Kasparov was asked, is it truthful information that a good chess player should see the situation in 6 moves ahead? And he answered, no, you should be well oriented locally, and because the most things is to know what to do the next and to be prepared for your future. So as for me, I try to every day to be prepared for my next day, but of course I want to take a middle road.
Do you not plan 6 moves ahead then, Larissa?
No, I have not this plan, but I try to do a plan for the day every morning.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I think you're definitely right. We can sometimes get too concerned with what we perceive to be the future, but really, we should focus on what's right in front of us.
I think that when we are young, we idealize our life, our actions. I think that we are in the right way. We know what to do. So just our parents, they're old-fashioned. They don't know. They just really. So I'm good at everything. So just I'm like. I'm imperfect. And then just getting older, it was really difficult, actually, from my example, just to accept my mistakes, even in job, just to say, it was my mistake. I just made this mistake just only by myself. It was really difficult. But now I think it's easy. Yes, it was a mistake. I'm a person. I can make mistakes. It's okay. Just learn on my own mistakes or others. It's an experience, and it's really important. But I see that sometimes, even not only young people, even just people that my age, they try to make responsible other people. Just we divorced because she was a bad wife. We just did it because she, or just like, or he, or just they try to put this responsibility to other people.
Yeah, I've come across another good quote, which I think is quite interesting. It talks about the excesses of our youth are drafts upon our old age. And drafts is a kind of old word for debts, basically. It's something that we have to pay back with interest, he says, 30 years after date. What is he talking about?
Interesting point.
I suppose these could be kind of physical excesses. Maybe if somebody goes out and is eating or drinking or
just
too much.
You have a result, yes, just like thanks to your actions and that your addictions on just your life, just what you have. It's
yes,
like
your health, I think.
Your health, your face, as Coco Chanel said that you deserved. So just it depends on you what face you would deserve when you were 40 or 50. That's really common expression. It depends on your lifestyle.
Okay. Any other comments before I get into the next question?
I remember an example, but I think it will be. It is a long story, so I don't know how to say it in short words. For example, not for example, but one day I wrote a book by Joanne Rowling, her novel for adult people, not Harry Potter, but a novel for adult people. And the main idea of this book was that people, society, they was very in terrible mood for the woman who was addicted to the drugs. But the doctor, she was also the main hero of the story. She said that you are afraid from this woman. Society thinks that this is a bad habit, and we should pay for her hospital, for her treatment, and so on. But sometimes we eat a lot of food we have obesity, we have a blood pressure, we have a diabetes 2 types. And this our bad habits, our which of course this is a money of our society, which one day will pay for our health, for our days in hospital. And you should close your mouth during your breakfast or at your lunch to prevent you from this terrible disease in your future. And now you're in a very bad mood for this woman who addicted for drugs. Don't notice your own bad habits. And so this was my idea. I'm sorry for my explanation, but it was a good example for me.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, of course. Sometimes we see how people, their bad behavior, their bad habits, but we don't recognize these habits in ourselves. So just we don't think about ourselves, that we are also guilty for this or that, and so on.
Yeah, I think that's often true.
We could also refer to work. I experienced when people are young and are fresh in their new job, not only, I also mean physical work. For example, if you look at street workers working with very loud machines and not wearing air protections because they claim they don't need it, and they will have to pay when they are old because they might tend to deafness.
Yes.
This also fits to. You could also consider this with not physical work when you overwork and are in the office 12 hours a day, and I expect you will have to pay one day for this excessive work.
Yeah, good point. Really, I agree. Because sometimes people just for example, my colleagues, they know that I do sports, I'm so active, and so and they just try to maybe just to laugh at me in this way. And they one day they told me, so just do you want to live for a long life, just like for 90 or 100 years, because that you are so active and so you do sports? And guys, I'm just happy with my life. I'm just happy that I'm active. I don't know what to happen with me next day, or just in a day or in a year. I don't know just what is my fate. Yes, it's like and it's really it's my choice. Oh, come on. Your choice just to drink and eat chips and just eat fast food. Okay, I can eat also fast food, but I'm not so addicted. I don't drink alcohol, don't smoke. It's my choice. I just feel good. And I don't need to just to be happy or to get happiness just drinking alcohol. I can do it without it. So.
Yes, but even exercise these days, some people kind of get carried away when they're doing exercise, and they become, rather than just having a healthy, having a regular moderate exercise, some people get addicted to the gym, don't they? And they go and they have to do this. I think this comes back to moderation, and people maybe then even they put a lot of strain on their bodies, maybe even bodybuilders who then may have health problems in later life. I'm sure, Larissa, you have a better understanding of this, but kind of the forces, the pressure that we put on our bodies.
The
Right.
photos, mirrors, and selfies, and just so this, I really don't understand these people, especially not young people. They sometimes my age, that's after 30, I think it looks strange. A lot of selfies in front of the mirror. For me, I think it's you don't share with us anything else, just only your body. I think that people are more interested than just to share to show their body. Their bodies.
Okay, good. So Oscar Wilde, coming back to him, also said, moderation is a fatal thing. Nothing succeeds like excess. And I was talking with a student the other day, and we got to the subject of entrepreneurs and maybe other successful people. Are they, they often go to excesses, they go to extremes. Is that part of being a successful person, or can and do great entrepreneurs or successful people exhibit moderation in their lives? What do you think?
Just to say that maybe just because that it's kind of the era of consumerism, and so just we earn enough and we can afford ourselves to eat more than we need, to buy more clothes than we need, and so just in this way where we have access more and more, and so maybe this way. I don't not particularly deeply understand this quotation, to be honest.
Right. Over the first one, nothing succeeds like excess. I guess maybe he's saying, yeah, you have to, if you want to get ahead or be successful, you cannot be too moderate all the time. And what about tempers? Often these entrepreneurs or some people are seen to be quite very fiery, very passionate about their thing, and sometimes they're reported to be not very pleasant people in their places of work. But is that necessary? Is it part of the course? Someone like Steve Jobs, I think he's undeniably successful in what he did with his company, but he was said to have quite a temper in the office.
It is difficult to explain. As for me, and according to Natasha's example, she tries to respect her own personal life, her private life. She is in a good shape. She is a very enthusiastic and energetic person. And of course, it's on the one hand, it's a good habit to do some exercises, to have a gymnastic in her life. But on other hand, this is sometimes it was a turning point in her life. But our society, our work society, sometimes they are not ready to accept new habits, and of course, it's easy for them to be a part of society and to be a very, very common person. And this is according to our previous talk when we spoke about persons who live in society without something successful things and not to play a role of first guitar, for example. And Dave, I remember your quotation that a dead fish can go with the flow. And sometimes it's to be moderate to your own life. I think that this is a work. It's sometimes it's difficult work. It's difficult job to moderate yourself. And only after that you can moderate the other people's life.
And moderate your needs. I think that's
Your
really
needs,
difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
needs.
your emotions.
Mm-hmm. Your
desires.
consumer needs, yes. Because sometimes people, they say, oh, I have to earn more and more money. Why? Because I want to buy more expensive car, or just I should have not only one flat, just 2 flats, or just 3 flats, and just to distribute them among my kids. So just, okay, your kids, they're young, they could earn money, they could just to go and to, of course, to go this difficult way and just to earn money and just to buy a flat. Just why you just give them this ready, I don't know, ready things, and I think it's not a good way. So sometimes people don't need a lot of things, a lot of food, and so we have a lot of excess in our lives, and so just think about it. So we don't need a lot of money just for living. We just need a lot of money just for sharing our prosperity, maybe. Just to share it, to show this prosperity to others, and just to maybe it makes us happy. But for me, it's not a good idea. I don't need a lot of money. It's okay just to have only one flat and to have a job just for living. That's my point.
Sounds similar to the other question which I had, which was about discipline and moderation, and are they connected? Which I think they are, but who would like to add to that, the previous point?
I'm now at the point to give an answer to the previous question. So
Okay, good.
It took a time, and I think it depends on the definition of success or successful. If you define it as becoming wealthy and prosperous, it's probably not necessary. But if it is defined as being successful in your life and becoming content in your life, and get a fulfilled life, I think moderation is essentially necessary, because it again relates to connection to other people, and you can't be accepted and or do good things to other people if you only live in extremes. So I think if you refer to your own life and to if you balance, if you recap it at the end of the life, have I been successful and happy in my life, it's absolutely necessary to include moderation, which refers to balancing and weigh different decisions before you take them.
Okay, yes, good, thank you. Okay, so how can then, this maybe comes to the next question, how can we include more balance and moderation in our own lives? What are some ways, some methods or hints and tips in order to be more balanced?
I think we have to find a right partner for our life. When you have really this partner, just your wife or just your husband or just your friend, when you're together and when you can support each other, and so just you have equal goals, and you, I think it's better. It's kind of like these partnerships, this love just could make you understand what is good for you, what is not. Just do you need a lot of things and just to buy everything, or just to go to somewhere? For example, you can travel just not so far away, but you can be happy with this partner, with this company, but you don't need to go to pay extra for a journey or just for travel, for example, to Maldives. For just like, it's also, there was a whole discussion with my colleagues. They always abuse me that I always travel in Russia to go to Crimea every year with my friend, and I always tell them that I'm happy. It depends with whom you are going to travel. It's very important. Of course, you can go to Maldives or just to United States or just to Australia with not the right person, and your journey would be harmful for you, for your soul, for everything, and just you would be unhappy. So sometimes I think that really people just close to us, I mean our spouse, our partners, they are very important for our life choice, for really for healthy life, because just a lot of examples of really successful people, they had wonderful lives. They have this support. So just of course. So just try to maybe to say something, to go to philosophical, to the philosophy, but I think it's really also important.
Yes, the people that we share our lives with. Definitely.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I agree, and I think it's important to take some time to realize and think about what is good for you, what are right decisions, and not only to rush from one day to the other one, and without listening to what you need.
Listening to
yourself,
or
to yourself, or feeling, just to feel what you need, and then balance. I like this notion that balance is not only to make compromise. It's not only to be not you should live your life and also do things that make you happy, even if they are maybe not they might be extreme sport, but you have to realize what is really the thing you need in total, and you have to agree with that also tomorrow and be aware of the consequences.
Yes, that's very interesting. Yes, it comes back to this, even be moderate with moderation itself. I'm reminded of a friend of mine somebody I know, who wrote a book on the subject, and he has a system which I still use to this day to try to get balance in my life. But he's saying that balance is not us being rigid in one place. Balance is always moving, and it's a bit like having to readjust and find your balance as you move along. And within that, you're constantly going to be kind of getting out of balance, but then getting back into balance. So it's not a static thing, it's a dynamic thing. And you have to find our own balance. Larissa, what are your thoughts?
I think so. I totally agree with you and with your friend.
Can you give me an example? Or...
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Like this tightrope acrobat which has to lean to the one side and to the other side to stay in balance.
Yes.
This is a nice picture, I think.
Yes. Did you have something to add, Larissa?
I can speak only about myself and to how to find a balance and moderation in my life. For example, I know that I speak now about mobile technology. Of course, it's a lot of information, and this information in one mobile phone. But I know that this is a great influence on my life because I receive more than 3,000 messages from not only from my mobile phone, but also from my email and so on. And of course, I have to answer on them. And but first of all, I have a reaction in my mind, and sometimes it's not a good reactions. It's also a bad reactions, a bad mood, and some kind of frustrations. So, what a life hack? I don't know. I will use this word now or not, but I try to put away my mobile phone after 8 p.m. and to stay it close in another room and to pay attention only my baby and only my husband. This is my way of balance with mobile technology. I don't know, is it true or not, but it's my example only.
Yes, I think if it works for you, then it's right. And at least you're showing you're attempting to balance this. You're acknowledging that it could be, you could, if you don't do that, you might spend too much time and you'll have an imbalance in your life and you might neglect other parts of your life.
Right, and you get nervous all this time. Then you see a lot of messages and you have to send your feedback to these messages. And so it's really a long process. It doesn't take 5 minutes. So sometimes it takes 1 hour and you see, oh my gosh, there is time to go to bed. And just really, so I was a volunteer and I just answered to these messages, and my family was without me, spend this time without me. That's so pity.
Okay. So I think on balance, that's been a pretty good argument. I think we've covered everything. It's nice to see you all. I'm sorry you couldn't see me today. Hopefully next time I'll have my camera fixed. And I hope to see you all again soon.
Yeah, sure.
Take care. Thank you, Larissa, Natalia, Andreas. Have a good week.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Thank you, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Have a nice
See you
Bye-bye.
soon.
Bye.
Bye
See
now.
you.
Bye.